To keep an eye on the nanny, the millionaire installed cameras and saw his young son doing something that broke his heart. Subscribe to the channel and comment where you are watching from. The rain tapped against the windows of the 42nd floor, creating a hypnotic rhythm that echoed through the silent apartment. David Miller adjusted the cuffs of his Italian dress shirt and looked for the first time in weeks beyond the screens of his 3 monitors. Down below, New York City buzzed with its eternal hustle, but from up here, in the penthouse on the Upper East Side, the city seemed like just a distant and manageable anthill. "Daddy!" The small voice of Lily echoed down the hallway, breaking the silence that David had cultivated as a shield. At 5 years old, the girl had her mother's brown eyes and a fragility that haunted him ever since Sarah left for London 6 months ago, taking only 2 suitcases and leaving behind a trail of bitter accusations. "I'm working, Lily. The new nanny will be here shortly," David replied without taking his eyes off the quarterly results spreadsheet. That was how it worked. He provided, she obeyed. Simple, efficient, like everything in his life. The 400-square-foot apartment perfectly mirrored its owner's personality. Straight lines, neutral colors, designer furniture, and an almost military organization. Every object had its place, every room its function. The white walls were decorated only with expensive abstract paintings and a single photo of Lily in a silver frame, strategically positioned on the study desk, more out of social obligation than sentiment. David had grown up in Westchester, the son of a strict German engineer and a mother who had given up her own dreams to keep the house immaculate. At 40, he replicated with surgical precision the family model he knew. Emotional distance masked as protection, love demonstrated through material achievements, and the unwavering belief that discipline was synonymous with care. "Life is about results, David. Feelings are luxuries that the weak cannot afford," his father used to say during the silent dinners of his childhood. And it was exactly this philosophy that made him the youngest CEO of TechWave Innovations, a software company he founded at 30, now generating 8-digit annual revenues. The doorbell rang precisely at 8 in the morning. David opened the door to find a 48-year-old woman, brown hair pulled back in a discreet bun, wearing a navy blue blouse and a midi skirt that revealed good taste without extravagance. Emma Johnson had a look of determination and melancholy in her eyes that he couldn't decipher at that first moment. "Mr. David? I'm Emma, the new nanny. We spoke on the phone yesterday," she said, extending her hand firmly. Her voice carried a soft Midwestern accent, almost imperceptible, but revealing humble origins. "Come in. I'll quickly explain Lily's routine and the house rules," David replied, gesturing for her to follow him into the living room. "I have an important meeting in 20 minutes. Emma observed the environment as she walked. The bare walls, the almost deafening silence, the complete absence of any trace of childhood in the living room. It was as if a child were a temporary tenant in that space, not the main resident. Lily wakes up at 7, has breakfast at 7:30, always the same thing: whole grain toast, sugar-free jam, and fresh juice. At 9, she leaves for school, returns at 4. In the afternoon, she can watch TV for only 1 hour in her room. Meals are punctual, no sweets between meals, David said, reading from a typed list. He pulled from his shirt pocket. "Oh, and all activities are monitored by the security system. The cameras record everything. It's to ensure everything is all right, you understand." Emma nodded, but a wrinkle of concern formed between her eyebrows. In 22 years of working with children in public schools in Springfield, she had never seen a house so sterile. It was like a medical office, not a home. "And playtime? Recreational activities?" she asked carefully. "Lily has all the latest educational toys in her room, tablets with educational apps, imported puzzles, age-appropriate books. She's a very disciplined child, doesn't cause any trouble, David replied, checking his Swiss watch. I need to go. In case of emergency, my number is on the fridge. After David left, Emma found herself alone in the silent vastness of the apartment. She walked to Lily's room and gently knocked on the ajar door. May I come in, sweetheart? The girl was sitting on the queen bed, still in her pajamas, hugging a worn teddy bear, the only object in that room that seemed to have been chosen by her, not by a decorator. Lily had light brown curly hair, big eyes, and a pallor that revealed little time spent outdoors. Are you the new nanny? Lily asked with a shyness that broke Emma's heart. I am. My name is Emma, but you can call me whatever you like. And you must be Lily, right? Your daddy told me you are very smart. Lily nodded, but didn't smile. The last nanny left because Daddy said she was sleeping on the job. He saw it on the camera. Emma sat on the edge of the bed, keeping a respectful distance. And you? Do you like it here? Do you like your home? The question seemed to catch Lily by surprise. She looked around the vast room with glossy white furniture, shelves organized by color and size, toys lined up like soldiers in formation. It's pretty, Lily replied, but her voice carried a sadness that no 5-year-old should know. It's just very quiet. At Grandma's house, where Mommy used to take me sometimes, there were birds singing in the morning. Here, there's only the noise of cars down below. At that moment, Emma understood exactly what she had accepted when she came to New York City. It wasn't just a job, it was a mission. That girl and that man were lost in their own lives, prisoners of a routine that suffocated any trace of joy. How about we have a nice morning coffee? I can prepare something different for you today. For the first time, a shy sparkle appeared in Lily's eyes. Really? Daddy won't be mad? Your daddy wants you to be happy, sweetheart. Sometimes adults just forget how to do that, Emma said, extending her hand to Lily. Come with me. Let's see what delicious things we have in this modern kitchen. As they prepared homemade cheese bread together, a recipe Emma had known by heart since she was a girl, neither of them imagined that this would be the first day of a transformation that would forever change the lives of everyone in that house with white walls and closed hearts. The aroma of cheese bread still lingered in the kitchen when David returned to the apartment at 9 in the evening, 3 hours later than he had promised. The meeting with Korean investors had run longer than expected, and he spent another 2 hours in traffic on the FDR Drive, ruminating over numbers and growth projections for the next quarter. Lily already had dinner and is sleeping, Emma informed him, organizing the kitchen with precise movements, but without the military rigidity he expected. I left your plate in the oven in case you're hungry. David nodded but didn't say thank you. Gratitude was an emotional luxury he rarely allowed himself to express. He headed straight to the study, where 3 monitors were already displaying reports and spreadsheets he would review until late into the night. It had been his routine for years, work until his body begged for mercy, sleep 5 hours, wake up and repeat the cycle. Mr. David, Emma's voice made him stop at the office door. Lily asked if you could say goodnight to her. She said she misses that. The words hit David like a punch in the stomach. How long had it been since he entered his daughter's room just to say goodnight? How long had it been since he saw her awake, actually? The routine had become armor against any kind of emotional closeness. She must be asleep already. Better not to wake her, he replied, but his voice came out less firm than he intended. She hasn't slept yet. She's waiting, Emma insisted, and there was something in her tone that was not disrespectful but was firm, a determined sweetness that unsettled him. David sighed, dropped his leather briefcase on the armchair, and walked to Lily's room. The door was ajar, and a soft light from a crescent moon-shaped lamp created dancing shadows on the wall. Lily was lying down, hugging her teddy bear, but her eyes were open, fixed on the ceiling. "Daddy?" She turned when she heard him enter, and a shy smile lit up her little face. "You came." "I came to say good night," David said, standing by the bed, his hands in his dress pants pockets. He didn't know exactly what to do with his body in that space. Intimacy was foreign territory for him. "Aunt Emma made cheese bread today. It was just like Grandma Tessa's. Remember, Grandma? Mummy used to take me there sometimes," Lily said, her voice carrying an impossible nostalgia for someone so young. David vaguely remembered Sarah's mother, a friendly lady who lived in a small house in Brooklyn, filled with plants and always playing some country music on the kitchen radio. Sarah used to take Lily there on Sundays, but he never went along. There was always work to be done, always an excuse. "I remember," he lied, because he couldn't recall anything beyond meetings and numbers from that time. "Did you like the cheese bread?" "Very much, and Aunt Emma let me help make it. I cracked an egg in the sink, but she didn't get mad. She said that in her kitchen in Ohio, her nephews always made a mess too." Something stirred in David's chest. A strange, almost uncomfortable feeling. It was as if a door he had kept locked for years was being slowly forced open by small, persistent hands. "Daddy, can I ask a question?" Lily sat up in bed, the teddy bear still clutched in her arms. "Sure." "Why did Mommy leave? Was it my fault?" The question hit David like lightning. He sat on the edge of the bed, finally, and for the first time in months really looked at his daughter. He saw Sarah in her eyes, but he also saw something that was uniquely hers, a silent determination, a strength he recognized in himself. "It wasn't your fault, Lily. It never was," he said, and his voice came out softer, more human than he intended. "Sometimes adults fight, and when they fight a lot, they decide to live apart, but that has nothing to do with you." "She doesn't call me anymore," Lily murmured, looking down. "Aunt Emma said maybe Mommy is busy settling into her new house, but it's been 2 months. David felt a knot in his throat. Sarah had called 3 times since she moved to London. 3 quick calls, always in a hurry, always with some excuse about time zones or commitments. He never told Lily this, hoping the situation would normalize on its own, but children sense abandonment even when adults try to disguise it. "I'll talk to her, okay? I'll ask her to call you more often," David promised, knowing it was a promise he might not be able to keep. Sarah had been clear. She wanted a new life, far from all this. All this, apparently, included Lily. "Daddy, do you like Aunt Emma?" The question came out of nowhere with that brutal honesty of children. "She just started today. I don't know yet," David replied, but he realized he was lying again. There was something different in Emma. The apartment had a different smell when he arrived. Not just the cheese bread, but something more subtle. Life, movement, as if someone had opened a window in a house that had been closed for months. "She's nice. She told stories from her childhood. She said she lived on a farm and had a cow named Daisy," said Lily, snuggling under the blanket. "Daddy, did you have a cow when you were a kid?" David almost smiled. "No, sweetheart. I grew up in an apartment just like you." "Was it quiet too?" The question caught him off guard. Yes, it had been quiet. Dinners without conversation, weekends without play, a childhood measured in report cards and unspoken expectations. His father believed that showing affection was a sign of weakness, and his mother had learned to love in silence to keep the peace. It was, he admitted. "I don't like silence," said Lily, yawning. "Aunt Emma sang a song while making the cheese bread. It was beautiful. It was about little birds." David stayed there for a few more minutes, listening to Lily's breathing become deeper and more regular. When he was sure she was asleep, he kissed her forehead, an automatic gesture that surprised him. How long had It'd been since he kissed her goodnight. In the hallway, he found Emma organizing Lily's school materials for the next day. She had changed from her work clothes into a simple t-shirt and jeans, looking younger, less formal. "Thank you for making her wait," David said, embarrassed by his own gratitude. "A child needs to feel important to their parents," Emma replied, continuing to organize the notebooks. "In the countryside where I worked, I saw many fathers coming home late from work and forgetting that a child isn't just a piece of furniture. They sit there quietly, but they suffer just the same." Emma's words echoed in David's mind as he reviewed contracts until 2 in the morning. For the first time in years, work couldn't completely occupy his thoughts. The image of Lily, waiting for a good night, hugging her worn teddy bear, kept coming back to him. Before going to sleep, he did something unprecedented. He checked the monitoring system not to oversee the babysitter's work, but to relive the moments of the day. He saw Emma teaching Lily how to knead the cheese bread dough, saw them laughing when Lily spilled flour on the floor, saw the infinite patience with which Emma explained each step of the recipe. It was strange to see joy in those rooms he had always considered perfect in their silent organization. For the first time, David wondered if perfection and happiness were the same thing. The second week of Emma in the house brought subtle changes that David still didn't know how to interpret. He came home to find Lily's drawings stuck on the fridge, something unthinkable during the regime of previous babysitters who strictly followed his instructions to keep the apartment presentable. The drawings always depicted the same scene: a small house with a chimney puffing smoke, flowers in the garden, and 3 figures holding hands at the door. "Who are these people?" David asked on a Thursday, pointing to the most recent drawing while serving a coffee that Emma had prepared. A freshly brewed aromatic coffee, completely different from the espresso capsules he consumed mechanically. "It's me, Aunt Emma, and you, Daddy," Lily replied, finishing dinner at the kitchen island. "It's our family." The word family echoed strangely in David's ears. Since the divorce, he had avoided that term. Family was something he had before, something he lost, something that generated impossible expectations. But there was Lily, at 5 years old, reconstructing the concept with the devastating simplicity of children. "Lily, sweetheart, finish your food. Then it's bath time," said Emma, drying her hands on the floral apron she had brought from home. It was a simple apron, faded from use, completely out of the aesthetic standard of the apartment, but it brought something indefinable of coziness to that space. David observed these interactions from the sofa in the living room, pretending to read emails on his tablet, but actually studying every gesture, every word exchanged between them. Emma had a patience that unsettled him. When Lily spilled food, she simply cleaned it up without sighing or making sarcastic comments. When the girl asked for the 20th time why little birds didn't have teeth, Emma answered as if it were the first time. "Mr. David, may I speak with you for a moment?" Emma approached after putting Lily in the bath. "It's about Lily's routine." David froze. That phrase usually came with requests for raises, complaints about working conditions, or in the case of the previous 2 babysitters, notices of dismissal. "Of course," he said, pausing his reading of a financial report. "Lily is a very smart girl, but I've noticed she has some fears that might be important for you to know," Emma said, choosing her words carefully. "She's afraid of making noise, afraid of getting something dirty, afraid of bothering anyone. For a 5-year-old, that's not normal." Emma's words hit David like an unwanted medical diagnosis. He knew, in some corner of his consciousness, that he preferred to keep locked away, that Lily had become too quiet, too obedient, too cautious, but he had interpreted that as maturity, as good upbringing. "She's well behaved," David retorted, but his own voice sounded unconvincing. With all due respect, Mr. David, a 5-year-old needs to make a mess. They need to laugh loudly, ask silly questions, test boundaries, Emma said, and there was a gentle firmness in her voice that he wasn't used to hearing. Lily lives in fear of disappointing. That could become a serious problem in the future. David stood up, walking to the window that overlooked the illuminated city. Down below, New York City buzzed with its chaotic energy, but from up there everything seemed controllable, predictable. That's how he liked to see life, from a safe distance where the emotions couldn't reach him. "And what do you suggest?" he asked without turning around. "That you spend more time with her. Real time, not just at bedtime," Emma said. "And let her be a child. Get her clothes dirty, make noise, mess up the house a bit. This house costs $3 million, Emma. It's not a playground." "But it's Clara's home," Emma replied, and there was something in her voice that made David turn to look at her. "With all due respect, Mr. David, money doesn't create good childhood memories. Affection does." That night, after Emma left, she lived in a studio apartment in the East Village, 40 minutes by bus from there. David did something he hadn't done in weeks. He reviewed the security footage not to look for faults in the nanny's work, but to try to understand what she had been trying to tell him. On the computer screen, he saw scenes that deeply disturbed him. Clara apologizing for dropping a colored pencil on the floor. Clara whispering not to bother Daddy who is working. Clara organizing her toys with obsessive precision, as if every misplaced object could lead to catastrophe. But he also saw other scenes. Emma sitting on the floor of Clara's room, building towers with blocks and knocking them down on purpose to make the girl laugh. Emma teaching Clara to plant parsley in improvised pots on the balcony, getting both of them dirty and not caring at all. Emma singing nursery rhymes that he himself had sung in childhood, during the rare moments when his father wasn't around. The scene that impacted him the most happened on Wednesday. Clara was playing alone in the living room, stacking books to make a little house, when she accidentally knocked over a Venetian glass sculpture that David had bought on a business trip to Italy. The noise was loud, and pieces of glass scattered across the marble floor. Clara's reaction was instant and devastating. She curled up on the floor, hugged her knees, and began to cry desperately, repeating, "I'm sorry, Daddy, I'm sorry, Daddy. It wasn't on purpose. Daddy is going to be mad again." David paused the video at that moment. Again? When had he been mad before? He tried to remember, and with horror he did. A month ago, Clara had spilled juice on the Italian coffee table. He hadn't shouted, but his reaction had been cold, cutting. "Clara, you have to be more careful. These things cost money." In the recording, Emma rushed in upon hearing the noise, but instead of worrying about the broken sculpture, which had cost €4,000, she simply hugged Clara and said, "Nothing happened, sweetheart. It was just an accident. Everyone breaks things sometimes. Your daddy loves you very much, even when something breaks." David watched the scene 3 times. He saw Emma carefully cleaning up the shards, saw Clara gradually calming down, saw the two talking about how accidents happen and don't define who we are. Emma had turned a potential trauma moment into a lesson in self-compassion. That early morning, David couldn't work. He stayed on the balcony of the apartment, looking at the sleeping city and wondering when exactly he had become the kind of father that a 5-year-old feared disappointing. When had he turned into the version of his own father that he had promised, as a teenager, never to be? The phone rang at 2 in the morning. It was Sarah calling from London. "David, sorry for calling late. I got the time zone mixed up," she said, and her voice sounded distant, not just geographically. "It's fine. How are you?" "Good. Adapting. Listen, about the calls to Clara. It's been hard for me to get organized here. New job, different language. She misses you, Sarah. She asks about you every day." A long silence on the other end of the line. "I know. I miss her too. But it's complicated. Calling just makes things worse. For her and for me. David closed his eyes. Sarah was definitively drifting away from Clara, and there was nothing he could do to stop it. The abandonment was happening in slow motion, and he was just a powerless witness. "How's the new nanny? Is it working out?" Sarah asked, changing the subject. "It is," David said, and realized it was true. Clara really likes her. "I'm glad. Clara deserves someone who is affectionate with her." The phrase hung in the air, laden with unspoken accusations. Was Sarah implying that he wasn't affectionate? Or was she referring to her own absence? After hanging up, David stayed awake until dawn, watching videos from the past weeks and confronting a truth he preferred to ignore. Emma had accomplished in 10 days what he hadn't in 5 years of fatherhood. She had made Clara laugh. Emma woke up at 5 in the morning in the stuffy studio apartment in the East Village, as she did every day since arriving in New York City 3 months ago. The 30-square-meter apartment was on the 4th floor of a building without an elevator, and from the only window, she could only see the wall of the neighboring building. It was a brutal contrast to the house where she had lived her whole life in Springfield. 3 bedrooms, a backyard with mango, trees, and a silence that only the interior of Ohio knew how to offer. She prepared a simple coffee while listening to the traffic of New York City waking up outside. She had 2 hours until she had to catch the first bus to the Upper East Side, enough time to organize her thoughts and prepare emotionally for another day with Clara, the girl who had occupied a space in her heart that she thought was permanently closed. At 48, Emma carried the silent weight of a lifetime dedicated to others. She had started teaching at 16 in a rural school where she had to walk 5 kilometers daily to get there. At 22 years old, she had educated hundreds of children, coordinated literacy projects that gained state recognition, and became a reference in pedagogy in the region. But she had never had children of her own. "There's still time, dear," her mother, Mrs. Johnson, used to say during family Sundays. But Lucy knew there was no time. She had been in serious relationships twice. First with John, a history teacher who moved to Denver when he got a federal job, then with Mark, an agronomist who proposed but backed out when she chose to care for her sick parents instead of moving to his farm in Kansas. "You give so much love to other people's children that you forget to take care of your own life," her sister Jessica had said during their father's funeral 6 months ago. The words were harsh, but not untrue. Lucy had sacrificed relationships, career opportunities in larger cities, and even the chance to start a family to care for her aging parents and the home where she was born. When her father died of a sudden heart attack, followed by her mother, 3 months later died of a broken heart, the neighbors said, Lucy found herself alone for the first time in her life. The house was sold to pay off medical debts, and she was left with just a suitcase of clothes, some pedagogy books, and savings of $20,000 that she planned to use to start a new life. New York City had been a choice by elimination. Jessica lived in Washington, D.C. with her military husband and 2 teenage children, but made it clear there was no room for another person in their home. "You're a good teacher, Lucy. You'll find work easily anywhere," she had said, but both knew it wasn't that simple. At 48, with a specialization in pedagogy but no postgraduate degree, Lucy discovered that the educational market in big cities was ruthless to those coming from smaller towns. After 3 weeks of frustrating interviews at private schools, where her experience was considered outdated, and public schools, where the exams required qualifications she did not have, Lucy accepted reality. She needed any job that would pay the bills while she reorganized her life. The nanny agency welcomed her enthusiastically. A mature woman, experienced with children, with impeccable references. "You'll be in high demand among the wealthy families of the Upper East Side," the coordinator, a 50-year-old woman who chewed gum throughout the interview, assured her. The first job lasted 15 days. The employer, the wife of a surgeon, fired Lucy because she had bathed her 3-year-old daughter using regular shampoo instead of the imported organic product that cost $200. The second lasted a month until the father discovered that Lucy let the child watch inappropriate cartoons. Anything that wasn't educational was banned. When the agency called offering the job at David's house, Lucy hesitated. He's a single father, an executive, very demanding, the coordinator explained. The last 2 nannies didn't work out. He has cameras in every room and monitors everything, but he pays well, and his daughter is well behaved. Lucy accepted because she needed to, but in the first week she realized she had found something more than a job. Lily was not just a well-behaved child. She was a wounded, needy girl who hid her pain behind an excessive obedience that broke the heart of any minimally sensitive adult. "Aunt Lucy, can I ask you a question?" Lily had asked on the 3rd day while they were having breakfast. "Of course, sweetheart. Why don't you have children? You're so good at taking care of kids." The question hit Lucy like a punch to the stomach. How could she explain to a 5-year-old that life doesn't always go as planned, that love can come at the wrong time, that responsibilities can overshadow dreams, and that we don't always manage to balance what we want with what we must do? "Sometimes God has other plans for people," Lucy replied, stroking Lily's hair. "Maybe my plan was to care for special children like you." "Am I special?" Lily asked, her eyes lighting up in a way Lucy had never seen before. "Very special. The smartest and kindest girl I've ever met." Now, 3 weeks after that conversation, Lucy knew she had fallen in love with that child in a way that was dangerous for someone in her position. Lily had filled a void she had carried for decades, and with each passing day it became harder to maintain the professional distance that the situation required. The day before, Lily had asked if Lucy would stay with her forever. The question echoed in the nanny's mind as she took the crowded bus towards the Upper East Side. How to respond to a child who had already been abandoned by her mother, that the one caring for her was just an employee, subject to being dismissed at any moment. Lucy watched the city's movement through the bus's foggy window and wondered if she had made a mistake coming to New York City. In Springfield, she had a solid career, her own home, friendships spanning decades. Here, she was just another migrant trying to rebuild her life in a metropolis that did not forgive weaknesses nor easily offered second chances. But when she thought of Lily's smile upon seeing her arrive in the morning, when she remembered how the girl snuggled beside her to hear stories, when she saw the subtle but steady progress in the child's self-esteem, Lucy knew she could not abandon that broken family. Because that was what they were, she realized, a broken family trying to rebuild itself. David, with all his rigidity and distance, was a lost man who didn't know how to show affection. Lily was an intelligent and sensitive girl learning to associate love with abandonment. And she, Lucy, was a middle-aged woman who had found purpose in trying to heal wounds she recognized all too well, because she carried some similar ones. She got off the bus at the corner of David's house at 7:40. In the morning, 15 minutes earlier than usual, he had plans for that day. For 3 nights, he had dreamed about the garden that his mother maintained in their backyard, and he had decided that Lily needed to get her hands dirty in the soil, plant something and watch it grow. He had bought parsley and basil seeds at the local farmer's market over the weekend, along with clay pots that cost nearly 1/10 of his salary. He didn't know if David would approve, but he was willing to take the risk. Some things were too important to wait for permission. The April rain fell persistently over New York City when David arrived home that Thursday, carrying a frustration he couldn't name. The meeting with the board had been a disaster. The first quarter numbers were below expectations. Two important clients threatened to cancel contracts, and the Japanese investor he had been courting for months decided to bet on the competition. At 40 years old, David felt for the first time in his career that he might be losing control. He ascended the 42 floors in silence, the elevator music echoing uselessly in his ears. All he wanted was a hot shower, a glass of red wine, and a few hours hunched over spreadsheets that made sense, unlike the chaos his personal life had become since Emma's arrival. He opened the door to the apartment and was hit by an aroma that instantly transported him back to his childhood: fresh basil, wet earth, and something that took his memory a few seconds to identify: homemade cinnamon rolls. His maternal grandmother used to make this bread on Sundays before she passed away when he was 12. "Daddy!" Lily's cheerful voice echoed down the hallway, and she came running in, still wearing a small apron covered in dirt and paint. "Come see what we made. Come see, come see." David looked at his daughter and felt something shift in his chest. Lily was different. Her eyes sparkled with an energy he hadn't seen in months. Her hair was messy under an improvised straw hat, and there was a genuine joy in her smile that left him momentarily speechless. "Lily, you're dirty," he said automatically, but the reprimand sounded weak even to his own ears. "It's good dirt, Daddy. Aunt Emma said we only get really dirty when we do something wrong, but when we plant, the dirt is alive," said Lily, pulling his hand toward the balcony. Come see our garden." On the gourmet balcony he had designed to host executives for casual meetings, David found a scene that made him stop in his tracks. Emma was kneeling on the ground next to various clay pots lined up against the glass railing. Her hands were covered in dirt. She wore the same old t-shirt he had seen in the first weeks, and she hummed softly while watering tiny seedlings with an improvised watering can made from a plastic bottle. "Good afternoon, Mr. David," she said, standing up and wiping her hands on the apron. "I hope you don't mind the mess." Lily was eager to plant something, and I thought it would be good for her to connect with the earth. David looked around. The meticulously clean balcony was taken over by pots, bags of soil, improvised gardening tools, and small footprints of bare feet on the porcelain floor. His first reaction was irritation. That space had cost $50,000 to design and execute. But something in Lily's expectant expression made him hesitate. "Daddy, look! This one is parsley, this one is basil, and this one will be cherry tomatoes," Lily explained, pointing to each pot with the enthusiasm of someone who had discovered treasure. "Aunt Emma said that in a month we'll have fresh herbs for our food." "And how do you know it will work?" David asked, genuinely curious, despite his discomfort with the mess. "Because we planted with love," Lily replied with the absolute seriousness of children. "Aunt Emma said plants can feel when we really take care of them." David looked at Emma, who blushed slightly. "It's a way of speaking, right? For her to understand the importance of care," the nanny explained. "Actually, parsley and basil are quite resilient. They grow easily, even in an apartment." "Aunt Emma used to plant with her mother when she was little," Lily added. "They had a huge garden with tomatoes, lettuce, peppers. I wish I could have met Grandma Johnson." David felt something strange in his stomach. Lily spoke of Emma's mother as if she were family, with a naturalness that unsettled him. When was the last time she had mentioned her maternal grandmother, who lived just 20 miles away, with that same affectionate nostalgia? "Mr. David, if you prefer, I can take everything out tomorrow," Emma said, misinterpreting his silence. "I know it wasn't in our agreement, and it might not be appropriate for this environment." "No," David said, surprising himself. You can leave it, but you'll have to take good care of it. I don't want dead plants on the balcony." The smile that lit up Lily's face was like a punch to the gut. When was the last time he had said something that made her smile like that? "It's going to work, Daddy. We'll take care of it every day." Aunt Emma said plants are like people. They need water, food, and love to grow strong. That night, after Lily went to bed and Emma tidied up the kitchen, David found himself alone again, with his thoughts and a glass of wine that remained untouched. From the office window, he could see the balcony illuminated by the automatic outdoor light, with the small pots lined up like little green soldiers against the grey vastness of the city. He opened his laptop and, out of habit, accessed the monitoring system. But instead of checking the day's routine, he found himself searching for something specific, the moment when Emma and Lily had planted the... Lily was kneeling beside Emma in the garden, both with their hands in the soil, talking about seeds and patience. Emma explained that each little plant had its time to grow, that some needed more sun, others more shade, but all needed to be cared for consistently. "Aunt Emma, do you think my mommy will like the garden when she comes back?" Lily asked in the video, her small hands shaping the soil around a basil seedling. David saw Emma's face slightly contract, a shadow of sadness passing through her eyes before she replied, "I'm sure she will be very proud to see how you learn to care for the plants, sweetheart." It was a careful response, one that didn't feed false hopes, but also didn't crush a child's dreams. David realized at that moment that Emma knew exactly what he had tried to hide. Sarah wouldn't be coming back, maybe not to London, but certainly not to the life she had left behind. He continued watching and saw Lily asking if Emma had planted with her own mother when she was little. The answer came laden with a painful nostalgia that David recognized in himself. "I did. My mother, your Grandma Johnson, used to say that the person who plants a seed always believes in the future, even when the present is tough," Emma said in the video, her hands working automatically in the soil as she spoke. "She passed away not long ago, and I brought some seeds from her plants to plant here, so a little piece of her can stay alive." "What do you mean, Aunt Emma?" "These basil seeds came from the plant my mother planted 20 years ago. When they grow here, they will carry a bit of her memory, of the earth where she lived, of the love she put into the garden." Lily was impressed by the idea. "So, our garden will have memory." "It will, and when you grow up and want to plant in your own home, you can take seeds from here. That way the memory keeps traveling." David paused the video at that moment, a strange sensation taking over his chest. Emma was teaching Lily about continuity, about legacy, about how love can transcend physical absences. It was a lesson he had never learned himself. He picked up his phone and, on impulse, called Sarah. It was almost 11 at night in New York City, 5 in the morning in London. The phone rang several times before she answered, her voice thick with sleep. "David, what happened? Is everything okay with Lily?" "Everything's fine. Sorry for calling so late. She planted a garden today. She was very excited. I thought you'd want to know." A long silence on the other end of the line. "Oh, that's nice," Sarah said, but her voice sounded distant, uninterested. "David, I have to work early tomorrow. Can we talk another time?" "Of course. Sorry, good night." After hanging up, David stared at the black screen of his phone for a long time. Sarah had completely disconnected from Lily, and he was alone to raise a daughter who deserved so much more than he knew how to give. For the first time in months, David wondered if he could be enough for Lily. And for the first time, he admitted to himself that he might need to learn from Emma not just about gardening, but about how to cultivate relationships that grow with patience, care, and love. The first sign that something was different came through a call at 3 in the morning. David woke up startled by the persistent ringing of his phone, the name Lily's School flashing on the screen. His heart raced instantly. Late-night calls never brought good news. "Hello," he answered, already jumping out of bed. "Mr. David, This is the school's educational coordinator. Lily has been very ill during the night. She has a high fever and is vomiting. You need to pick her up urgently." David checked the clock. 3:15 in the morning. Lily had slept at school after a camp organized for the preschool classes, an activity he had reluctantly authorized, concerned about safety and supervision issues. "I'm on my way. How is she now?" "Crying a lot and calling for the nanny. We tried calling the emergency numbers, but I understand. I'll be there in 15 minutes. David hung up and quickly got dressed, his mind racing. The emergency numbers he had provided to the school included his own, Lily's pediatrician, and a third one, which until 3 months ago had been Sarah's, but which he had replaced with Emma's without thinking much about the implications. During the drive to the school in Central Park, David tried calling Emma. The phone rang several times before a sleepy voice answered. "Hello, Mr. David? What happened?" "Lily got sick at school. I'm going to pick her up. Could you come to the apartment? She's asking for you." Without hesitation, Emma replied, "In course. I'm getting ready. Do you need me to bring anything? Medicine, herbal tea? I don't know. Just come, please." He found Lily in the nurse's office, curled up in a chair too small for her, wearing her camp pajamas and trembling with fever. When she saw her father, her eyes filled with tears. "Daddy, I want to go home. Where's Aunt Emma?" "She's on her way, sweetheart. We're going home now," David said, picking Lily up for the first time in months. She was as hot as an oven, and her small body felt too fragile against his chest. In the car, Lily dozed off between episodes of low crying and intermittent requests for Emma. David drove with one hand on the wheel and the other constantly checking his daughter's temperature, a sense of panic growing in his stomach. He didn't know how to handle a sick child. He didn't know how to recognize when it was serious or just a passing discomfort. Emma arrived at the apartment 20 minutes after them, carrying a cloth bag that smelled of medicinal herbs. She was without makeup, with her adaptosoins: Lucia, Emma, Clara, Lily, Raphael, David, Tia Lucia. Emma, avó, grandmother, acampamentos de camp, pão de queijo, cheese bread, mãe, tias, mother, pai, father, casa, homem, coração, heart, família, family, família quebrada, broken family, táxi, cab, sofá, couch, história, story, mãe, mother, pai, father, cama, bed, coração, heart, 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 no coração, heart, no coração, heart, no coração, heart, coração, heart, no coração. In be heart, coração diz heart, coração diz heart, coração diz in the 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 heart, coração diz the heart, coração diz in the heart, coração diz in the heart, coração is heart, coração de 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 heart, coração da 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 heart, coração heart, coração heart, coração heart, coração heart, coração heart, coração. Your deity, coração. The heartbeat do coração, heartbeat do coração, heartbeat do coração, the heartbeat do coração, the heartbeat do coração, the heartbeat do coração, the heartbeat do coração, e the heartbeat do coração, the heartbeat do coração, a heartbeat do coração, let's the heartbeat do coração, heartbeat do coração, the 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 heartbeat do coração. The heart do de coração, e the heart do coração, e de the heart do coração, the heart do coração, e the heart do coração, the heart do coração, the heart do coração is the heart do coração, e de heart do coração, the heart do coração, the heart do coração is the heart do coração is heart do coração do heart do coração, the heart do coração, is the heart do coração, heart. Coração, heart, 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 coração, a heart, coração, heart, coração, heart, coração, heart, coração, heart, coração, heart, coração, the heart, coração, the heart, coração, the heart. Coração e heart, coração, the heart, coração, 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 the heart, coração, heart, coração, heart, coração, heart, coração. In the heart and taste coração, but really heart miss coração, heart and del coração, heart medicine coração, see heart bliss coração, heart medicine coração, heart doses coração, dres, heart medicine coração, morses, heart dres coração, besin, heart best coração de, heart bliss coração de, heart best coração, heart best corações, heart best coração, heart best coração de, heart doses coração de, heart best coração. Heart basis secretion, the heart despresum, the heart despresum, this heart despresum, that's heart to secretion, heart basicresum, heart to secretion, heart to secretion, heart presum, heart presum, heart to secretion, heart presum, heart to secretion, heart presum, heart presum, heart presum, heart. Coração, heart, 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 coração, a heart, coração, da heart, coração, da heart, coração, at the heart, coração, at the heart, a coração, at the heart, coração, at the heart, coração, at the heart, coração, at the heart, coração, in the heart, coração, heart, coração, the heart, coração. Na heart, coração, de o heart, coração, de o heart, coração, de no heart, coração, de no heart, coração, heart em coração, de no heart, coração, de no heart no coração, de no heart coração, heart no coração, heart coração, heart do coração, heart do coração, de no heart do coração, o heart de 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 coração, tipo heart de coração, heart de coração, o heart de coração, o heart de coração, o heart de coração, o heart de coração, no heart de coração, o heart de coração, o heart de coração, o heart de coração, o heart de coração, heart, coração, heart, coração, o heart, coração, 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 heart, coração. One heart, coração, 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 heart, coração jate, 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 coração jate. Coração goes to heart, 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 coração goes to heart. Coração goes to heart, 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 coração hearts, coração goes to 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 hearts, coração hearts e coração que se to hearts the bird. Light seemed more golden, and there was a sense of coziness that David couldn't explain. The teacher said whoever ate the most marshmallows would win a prize, Lily explained, gesturing with her small hands, sticky from jelly. I ate 12. João ate 15 and felt sick too, but he didn't throw up like I did. And now you know you shouldn't overindulge in sweets, right? Emma said, gently wiping Lily's face with a napkin. Our bodies are like the plants in the garden. They need good food to grow strong. David watched the interaction between the two as he sipped. The brewed coffee that Emma had prepared, infinitely better than the single-serve coffee pods he mechanically consumed every morning. There was something hypnotic about the patience with which Emma addressed each of Lily's questions, the way she even turned an upset stomach into a life lesson. Daddy, have you ever been camping? Lily asked, turning to him with bright, curious eyes. The question caught David off guard. He had grown up in an environment where outdoor adventures were seen as a waste of time, where weekends were filled with extra English and German classes. His only close memory of camping was a business trip to a tech company in the countryside of New York, where he had slept in a farmhouse hotel, simulating a rural experience for urban executives. No, sweetheart, I've never camped, he admitted, realizing there was something melancholic in his own voice. Never. Lily seemed genuinely shocked. Not even when you were a kid, not with Grandpa. David exchanged a quick glance with Emma, who discreetly continued organizing the kitchen to give them privacy. His father, Klaus Miller, was a German engineer who had emigrated to the US in the 1970s and built a solid but rigidly structured career. Demonstrations of spontaneity or activities without a clear educational purpose were seen as wasteful. Grandpa Klaus didn't really like adventures, David explained, choosing his words carefully. He thought it was important to study and work always. What a shame, Lily said, with the brutal honesty of children. Aunt Lucy always camped with her family when she was little. She said they made a campfire and looked at the stars. David looked at Emma, who blushed slightly. It was a tradition at home. Every July, when school was out, we would go to a relative's farm in New Jersey. The kids would sleep in tents in the yard, and the adults would stay up late talking around the fire. That must have been beautiful, David said, realizing there was envy in his voice. It was. Those were the happiest moments of the year, Emma replied, a shadow of nostalgia passing through her eyes. My mother used to say that children need good family memories, that those memories sustain a person in adulthood when things get tough. Emma's words echoed in David's mind like a painful diagnosis. What good family memories did he have to sustain him? Silent, Dinners, weekends at educational museums, praise conditioned on perfect school grades. What good memories was he creating for Lily? "Daddy, can we go camping one day? Me, you and Aunt Lucy?" Lily asked, with that radiant hope that only children can maintain in the face of adventure. "I don't know anything about camping, Lily. I wouldn't know how to organize it," David said, genuinely lost. "But Aunt Lucy knows. She can teach us." David looked at Emma, who seemed embarrassed to have become the center of the conversation involuntarily. There was something vulnerable in her expression, as if she, too, needed that possibility of adventure, that chance to relive happy memories that might have been stored away for too long. It would be nice," Emma said hesitantly. "There are beautiful places near New York. The Catskills, the Adirondacks, safe places for kids with facilities. Then let's go. When? This weekend?" Lily's excitement was contagious. "Calm down, sweetheart. These things need planning," David said, his controlling nature automatically taking over. But as he said this, a part of him, a part that had been suffocated for decades by spreadsheets and productivity goals, whispered that maybe Lily was right. Perhaps some of the best things in life were those that happened without so much planning. David's phone rang, interrupting the moment. It was Marcus, his business partner, with news about the investor meeting scheduled for Monday. "David, we need to meet this afternoon. The Koreans changed the terms of the deal, and we have to revise the whole proposal," Marcus said bluntly. David looked at Lily, who was finishing her breakfast with Emma, and felt for the first time in his career a visceral resistance to the idea of working over the weekend. "I can't today, Marcus. Lily was sick last night. She's still recovering. Then bring her to the office, or leave her with the nanny and come. It's important, man." David ended the call without giving a definitive answer and found two pairs of eyes watching him expectantly. Lily had stopped eating, and Emma pretended to organize already organized dishes, but both had clearly heard the conversation. "Do you have to work today, Daddy?" Lily asked, and there was something resigned in her voice that broke David's heart. Maybe. A problem came up at the company." "It's okay," Lily said, lowering her eyes to her plate. "I understand. Work is important." The phrase came from a 5-year-old with a forced maturity that made David realize something terrible. Lily was learning to accept abandonment as normal. She was preparing at 5 years old for a lifetime of second place in the agendas of people who should prioritize her. "You know what?" David said, surprising himself. "Work can wait until Monday. How about we take advantage of you feeling better and go to the park?" Lily's face lit up instantly. "Really? Can we take the new ball and feed the ducks? We can. And we can talk about this camp," said David, looking at Emma. "If Emma is willing to teach us." The smile that spread across Emma's face was like the sun rising. "Of course I'm in. It's going to be quite an adventure." As they prepared to leave, David called Marcus back. "I can't make it today. Reschedule for Monday morning." "David, are you crazy? This is an 8-figure deal." "And my daughter is the most important person in my life," David replied, surprising himself with the firmness of his own voice. "We'll sort it out on Monday." After he hung up, David saw Emma, watching him with an expression he couldn't decipher. There was approval there, but also something deeper. Hope, perhaps. "That was the first time I heard you say that," she said softly, as Lily ran to grab her jacket. "What?" "That Lily is the most important person in your life. She needs to hear those things." David was silent for a moment, processing the observation. When was the last time he had verbalized his feelings for Lily? When was the last time he had verbalized feelings? Period. "You're right," he said. "I have a lot to learn about being a father." "Every father does," Emma replied. "The difference is who allows themselves to learn and who thinks they already know everything." In that moment, David understood that Emma wasn't just caring for Lily. She was patiently teaching him how to build the family his daughter deserved to have. 3 weeks after the conversation about camp, David found himself in a sporting goods store in the Westchester Mall, completely lost among tents, sleeping bags and flashlights with technical specifications that seemed more complex than the software he developed. Lily was running between the aisles, testing backpacks and asking questions to a salesperson who clearly enjoyed the girl's enthusiasm. "Daddy, this one is perfect. Look, it has a butterfly design," Lily shouted, dragging a backpack almost the size of her. "Too big, sweetheart. You won't be able to carry it," David said, but his voice carried a tenderness he noticed himself. In the past few weeks, something fundamental had changed in his way of relating to Lily. The words came more naturally, the gestures were less calculated. Emma appeared holding a handwritten list and smiling at the scene. "Did you find anything good?" "We found everything except a father who knows what he's doing," David admitted. "I'm afraid I'll forget something essential, and Lily will be cold or hungry in the woods." "Everything will be fine. It's just a weekend in the Catskills, not an expedition to the Himalayas," Emma laughed. "Besides, I chose a lodge with cabins that have full amenities. We'll be camping in the backyard, no worries." David sighed, relieved. When Lily suggested the camp, he had imagined nights sleeping on the ground in a forest without a bathroom or electricity. The idea of cabins with infrastructure greatly reassured him, although a part of him felt cowardly for needing that comfort. "The lady at the park said that seeing stars in the countryside is different from seeing them in the city," Lily commented, having made friends with a woman in Central Park during her regular visits over the past few weeks. "She said you can see the Milky Way there." "That's true," Emma confirmed. "Where I grew up, in Ohio, the night was so dark that the stars looked like diamonds. Here in New York City, we can barely see anything with so many buildings and artificial light." David tried to remember the last time he had looked at the night sky attentively. He couldn't. His routine involved leaving home while it was still dark and returning when it was already night, but always under the artificial lighting of the city. When was the last time he had stopped to observe anything natural? They bought the essentials: sleeping bags, flashlights, a small tent that David insisted on testing right there in the store, to the salesperson's dismay, and appropriate clothes for the mountain cold. Lily chose a smaller backpack with bird designs, and David found himself buying much more than necessary, a reflection of an anxiety he couldn't name. On Friday night, the eve of the trip, David had his first real panic attack about being a father. What if Lily got hurt? What if she hated the experience? What if he himself was a complete disaster as an adventure companion? He called Emma 3 times with questions about what to bring, until she patiently suggested that they meet to review the bags together. "Mr. David, you're more nervous than Lily," Emma observed when they sat down in the living room to check the backpacks for the 3rd time. "It's normal to feel anxious the first time, but camping is for relaxing, not for stressing out." "I've never done anything like this," David admitted. "My childhood was very structured: 5-star hotels, fixed-menu restaurants, cultural outings with scheduled times. I don't know how to improvise." "But Lily does," Emma said. "Kids are masters at improvisation. We just need to follow her lead." Lily appeared in the living room wearing the new pajamas she had specially chosen for the trip, a pink set with drawings of campfires and stars. "Daddy, do you think we can really make a fire?" "The lodge has a designated area for that. We'll give it a try," David promised, although he had no idea how to start a campfire. "Aunt Emma knows. She learned from her grandfather when she was little," Lily said, snuggling between the two on the sofa. "Tell us, Aunt Emma." Emma smiled, a nostalgic expression taking over her face. "My grandfather Antonio was Italian. He came to the US when he was young. He had a small farm, and every winter we gathered to make cornbread over the campfire. He used to say that fire made with your own hands warms not just the body, but also the heart. I want my heart to feel warm. Adaptações: Rafael Mendes, David Miller, Clara, Lily, Lúcia, Emma, Campos do Jordão. The Catskills, Pousada, Lodge, Avó, Grandmother, Tia, Aunt, Mamãe, Mommy, Tio, Uncle, Casa, Homem, Coração, Heart, Família, Family, Família Quebrada, Broken Family, Café Coado, Brewed Coffee, Chás, Herbal Teas, Remédio, Medicine, Pijamas do Acampamento, Camp Pajamas, Pão de Queijo, Cheese Bread, Acampamento, Camp, Cápsulas Express, Single Serve Coffee Pods, Horta, Garden, Manjericão, Basil, Geladeira, Fridge, Cama King Size, Queen Bed, Pão de Açúcar Caseiro, Homemade Cinnamon Rolls, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, Vovô, Grandfather, Vovó, Grandmother, Vovô Klaus, Grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, Pijamas do Acampamento, Camp Pajamas, Remédio, Medicine, Pão de Açúcar Caseiro, Homemade Cinnamon Rolls, Horta, Garden, Manjericão, Basil, Geladeira, Fridge, Pijama, Pajamas, Cama King Size, Queen Bed, Café Coado, Brewed Coffee, Cápsulas Express, Single Serve Coffee Pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, Pão de Queijo, Cheese Bread, Escola, School, Acampamento, Camp, Chás, Herbal Teas, Vovô Klaus, Grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, Pijamas do Acampamento, Camp Pajamas, Remédio, Medicine, Pão de Açúcar Caseiro, Homemade Cinnamon Rolls, Horta, Garden, Manjericão, Basil, Geladeira, Fridge, Pijama, Pajamas, Cama King Size, Queen Bed, Café Coado, Brewed Coffee, Cápsulas Express, Single Serve Coffee Pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, Pão de Queijo, Cheese Bread, Escola, School, Acampamento, Camp, Chás, Herbal Teas, Vovô Klaus, Grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, Pijamas do Acampamento, Camp Pajamas, Remédio, Medicine, Pão de Açúcar, Caseiro, Homemade Cinnamon Rolls, Horta, Garden, Manjericão, Basil, Geladeira, Fridge, Pijama, Pajamas, Cama King Size, Queen Bed, Café Coado, Brewed Coffee, Cápsulas Express, Single Serve Coffee Pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, Pão de Queijo, Cheese Bread, Escola, School, Acampamento, Camp, Chás, Herbal Teas, Vovô Klaus, Grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, Pijamas do Acampamento, Camp Pajamas, Remédio, Medicine, Pão de Açúcar Caseiro, Homemade Cinnamon Rolls, Horta, Garden, Manjericão, Basil, Geladeira, Fridge, Pijama, Pajamas, Cama King Size, Queen Bed, Café Coado, Brewed Coffee, Cápsulas Express, Single Serve Coffee Pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, Pão de Queijo, Cheese Bread, Escola, School, Acampamento, Camp, Chás, Herbal Teas, Vovô Klaus, Grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, Pijamas do Acampamento, Camp Pajamas, Remédio, Medicine, Pão de Açúcar Caseiro, Homemade Cinnamon Rolls, Horta, Garden, Manjericão, Basil, Geladeira, Fridge, Pijama, Pajamas, Cama King Size, Queen Bed, Café Coado, Brewed Coffee, Cápsulas Express, Single Serve Coffee Pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, Pão de Queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp, pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, de school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar, caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, nightie, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeiras, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar, caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, your queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô, Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola, school, acampamento, camp, chás, herbal teas, vovô Klaus, grandpa Klaus, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, pijamas do acampamento, camp pajamas, remédios, medicine, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king. Size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de queijo, cheese bread, escola. Adaptações, Lúcia, Emma, Clara, Lily, horta, garden, pimentões, bell peppers, alface crespa, leafy lettuce, pé de morangos, strawberry plant, tio, uncle, mamãe, mommy, papa, daddy, pão de queijo, cheese bread, casa, home, coração, heart, família, family, família quebrada, broken family, tio Lúcia, Aunt Emma, Dona Conceição, Mrs. Johnson, cama king size, queen bed, pijamas do acampamento. Camp pajamas, remédio, medicine, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta e garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king, size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas, express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira de fridge, pijamas, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon, rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café e coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffees, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king, size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single-serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon rolls, horta, garden, manjericão, basil, geladeira, fridge, pijama, pajamas, cama king size, queen bed, café, coado, brewed coffee, cápsulas express, single-serve coffee pods, Parque Ibirapuera, Central Park, Paraná, Ohio, pão de açúcar caseiro, homemade cinnamon deep philosophy. David looked at Emma, who was organizing gardening tools with precise and loving movements. She was wearing a simple floral dress and an apron that Lily had chosen for her at a children's store. A pink apron with butterfly designs that beautifully contrasted with her serene personality. "It's true," said David. "Emma is right about many things." Emma blushed slightly, as she always did when receiving compliments. In recent months, David had discovered dozens of admirable qualities in that woman. Her infinite patience, her practical wisdom, her ability to find joy in simple things, and especially her skill in unconditionally loving a child she had not given birth to, but had chosen as her own. "Mr. David, there's something I wanted to talk to you about," Emma said, using that careful tone she employed when approaching delicate matters. "Of course. Lily, why don't you go wash that tomato to show Mrs. Smith?" David suggested, referring to the building's doorman, who had become a fervent admirer of Lily's garden produce. After Lily excitedly ran off on her mission, David sat in one of the chairs on the porch beside Emma. The view of New York City stretched out before them, but his attention was completely focused on the woman who had transformed his life without him realizing exactly when or how it had happened. "It's about Lily's school," Emma began. "The educational coordinator asked to speak with me about her progress. It seems she is different." David felt his stomach tighten. "Different how? Any problems?" "No, on the contrary," Emma smiled. "She's more communicative, more confident, participating in activities. The teacher said she was very shy at the beginning of the year, but now she's one of the most engaged kids in the class." David breathed a sigh of relief, but he also felt touched. He had noticed the changes in Lily, the more frequent laughter, the greater ease in making friends, the courage to try new things, but he hadn't realized they were so evident that the school would comment on them. "The coordinator asked what changed in her routine at home," Emma continued, "and I didn't know exactly what to answer because a lot has changed, right?" David nodded, thinking about the past few months. He had started coming home earlier from work, participating in Lily's playtime, learning to cook simple recipes on weekends, taking his daughter to the park regularly, and most importantly, he had learned to show affection without fear of seeming weak or inadequate. "Everything has changed," David admitted, "and it was thanks to you." "It wasn't just me," Emma said, lowering her eyes. "You've changed a lot too. Lily can tell when her father is truly present, not just physically." They sat in comfortable silence for a few moments, watching the city spread out below them. David thought about how different his life had been just a year ago. A silent apartment, a non-existent relationship with his daughter, a heart armored against any kind of emotional vulnerability. "Emma," he said suddenly, turning to look her in the eyes, "I need to say something." She looked at him expectantly, a slight worry crossing her face. I never properly thanked you for everything you've done for us. For Lily and for me," David said, feeling his voice tremble slightly. "You didn't just take care of my daughter, you taught me how to be a father. You taught me how to be human again." Tears formed in Emma's eyes. Mr. David. No, he gently interrupted her. Let me finish. When you came here, I was a bitter, lost man, raising a daughter with a constant fear of disappointing her. You brought light into this home. You brought love, patience, joy. You brought life. Lily is a special child. Anyone would fall in love with her, Emma said, trying to downplay her own role. But it's not just that, David said, taking a deep breath before continuing. It's that, in the past few months, I've fallen in love with both of you, with the family we've become, and I don't want that to ever change. The silence that followed was heavy with emotion. Emma looked at him with teary eyes, as if processing words she hadn't expected to hear. I fell in love too, she finally whispered. With Lily, with this home, with you both. At that moment, Lily came running back to the porch, interrupting the intimate moment with her contagious energy. Mrs. Smith said our tomato is the most beautiful she's ever seen, and she asked if we can teach her how to make a garden too, Lily announced, completely oblivious to the emotional intensity that had passed between the adults just seconds before. Of course we can, David said, picking Lily up and looking over her head at Emma. We can teach everything we've learned about planting and caring for the things we love. Emma smiled through her tears, perfectly understanding the double message in David's words. That night, after Lily fell asleep, David and Emma stayed up late in the living room, planning not just the future of the garden, but the future of the family they had built without realizing it. It wasn't what either of them had planned for their lives, but it was exactly what their hearts had been searching for, without knowing. Outside, New York City continued its eternal hustle and bustle, but inside that apartment that had once been cold and silent, laughter, hopes, and the love of three people echoed, people who had learned that family is not just about blood ties. It's about choosing to love and care for each other every day, like plants that grow strong when watered with dedication and affection. Remember to like, subscribe to the channel, activate the bell, and if you watched until here, comment "I watched until here" and leave your opinion about this story. And don't forget to watch the next video that appears on the final screen. You are very emotional.